So I'm really excited to speak with this week's guest. My guest this week is Yvonne Michelle. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Lisane. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so this is kind of a funny interview in some ways, or at least the road to this interview is pretty funny because Yvonne, you and I uh, met each other through social media. We met each other through Instagram. And one of the things that, and I think it was actually during the pandemic, during like the dark days.
It really was.
Yeah, during 2020. And so, I was on Instagram, telling my Lisane story, and Yvonne was on Instagram telling her Yvonne story. And we really just started communicating with each other through that, and then at that time. Uh, and then at some point, I started to really follow your story and your incredible energy and how deep and positive you show up on this thing that we call social media. And I know that one of the things that I can always count on is um, a really solid word filled with wisdom, when we encounter each other on social media. And so I think it was a few weeks ago, maybe, that I was like, you know what, girl, come on my show. Let's talk.
I
Let's,
appreciate it.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree
yeah.
with social media. It's just, we all have this responsibility to put something positive out there whenever we can and
Mhm.
benefit the next person who might see it. So I definitely have my days where they're not as positive, but I always try to pull some positivity out of there, encourage
Yeah,
everyone. We're on this journey together. So,
absolutely. And life isn't always about, that, I think we all want to be smiling all the time, but life doesn't always serve that up. And I think it's what I really respect and appreciate about what I've witnessed through the last couple of years that we've been following each other is that, again, like it's not the gooey, sweet, hey, everything's great. It's, what can where's that little ray of sunshine that I can find in a moment where things are shitty, you know?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
for
And so
sure.
that's really what I see.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that because I feel that in the morning I have two choices to make.
Yeah.
It's, if I'm not having a great day, if things are not going well, I can choose to harp on that, or I can choose to harp on the opposite, which I think if you harp on the opposite of the negative feelings, your day will go a lot smoother. Things will just start falling back into place. Good things
Hmm.
will start happening because I feel like when you focus on the negativity, throughout the day, it just continues. It just continues.
Absolutely.
And it's proven that to me, many instances. I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, just woke up, felt completely overwhelmed with everything and just didn't shake it. Just continued on that path. Go to the bank, deposit some money. It didn't accept the money because it was too much. So that all the money just started flying back out of the slot. So and
Hmm.
it was just, one thing I just said, okay, I'm doing this to myself, like
Yeah.
it's just that one thing. And I just think sometimes that one thing, maybe it's not like magic or anything like that, but it's just when we're in that negative mind frame, we're not really paying attention to things the way we should. Like the way, we may do something um the wrong way simply because our mind is just not there, not feeling happy, not feeling, the way it should, you know.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like, I'm a advocate for saying that, it doesn't matter how old we are always learning, always growing. And
Every day.
every single day, like I think about myself 2 years ago and the where I am today mentally, completely different person.
Mm.
And I think it's a choice. It's a choice that we make to, we're, life is going to happen as long as we continue to breathe, things are going to continue, and we just have these choices to make to grow or to stay where we are. So
Absolutely.
I choose to grow. So
Yeah, I choose growth every day. And sometimes the growth is like wonderful and my arms are open and I'm like, yay, I love it. And other days I'm like, shit, I know I have to grow through this one, but it hurts, or it's hard,
yes,
or I don't know how
yes,
to get to the other side of it. I want to go back to you talking about how you get up in the morning, because I find too that whatever those thoughts are first thing in the morning, um, I have to, for me, I have to tend to that thought. And so if it's a positive thought, that's something that I know needs to be nurtured. And if it's a thought about something that I have to deal with that maybe feels uncomfortable, I also know that that's something that I have to deal with and take care of. Um, and so I really love the fact that you think about that in your morning, because that really, like, how we get up is what sets the tone for the rest of the day, and it just snowballs
absolutely.
and snowballs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also creating somewhat of a force field around yourself, because
Hmm.
we encounter so many things that are outside of our control, and also so many different energies that may not be on the same frequency that we are
Hmm.
on. And
Hmm.
it's like, you have to just make a decision, because, being a human also means being very delicate.
Hmm.
One thing that I say is humans are very delicate. And that's kind of like, part of my mission that I focus on is just not really looking at how people act or what they do, as to more of, maybe that person just has a different experience than I have, or they've had a different
Yeah.
life. So that's why they act the way they do, and giving
Hmm.
people a lot more grace. So
Hmm.
what I find is that, I listened to a motivational speaker not too long ago that said, what you listen to in the first 20 minutes of the day
Hmm.
sets the tone, or
Absolutely.
whatever you see or whatever you watch literally sets the tone. And I've tested this myself. If I
Hmm.
choose to get up in the morning and listen to a motivational speech or TD Jakes, or meditate, or
Hmm.
try to write down things that I'm grateful for, I find that throughout the day, I mean, I just find more things to be grateful for. I find more joy,
Hmm.
despite maybe something happening, but I've already set myself up for the day to not
To
let
receive, to
to re-
receive joy. Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's just like, we do have control over some aspects of that. It's just
Hmm.
what we allow, the energies we allow around us, the things that we watch.
Absolutely.
Social media can be good, but it can also be bad.
But
It
we choose that, right?
We
Because at the end
do.
of the day, people talk about like social media like it's this horrible thing.
Hmm.
And it's horrible when you've allowed horrible to be around you. I always
Absolutely.
say that, if you would not allow someone who is just always ranting and raving about the negative into your living room, why would you allow that energy into your home, or walking around in your hand all day, or sitting in your bed while you're checking social media? I think we do
Absolutely.
have a responsibility to create the world that we want to live in, and that includes what we allow into our energy field through things like social media.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, you wouldn't let certain types of people into your living room or into your physical space. Then
Yeah,
we should always take a look at hey, social media, our personal pages are our space. And
absolutely.
we can curate it the way we want. We can
Hmm.
have we can have people on there that inspire us, or people that don't inspire us, or people that
Hmm.
perpetuate things that we don't agree with, or we can have the opposite. So it's a like you said, we do have control over a lot of these aspects. So it's
Hmm.
important that we realize that we do have a lot of power. And that's what I'm
Absolutely.
growing into, is my power, is that I realize, you know, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim to my childhood. I'm not a victim to my traumas. I'm not a victim to, someone cutting me off in traffic.
Hmm.
My personal self, my space, my spirit is my sanctuary. So I don't, I don't allow things like that to really affect me as much anymore. So
Yeah, I love that you're saying that, Yvonne, because that even that statement that I'm not a victim, there's a way of placing the power of that outside of yourself and saying, well, I'm a victim because boom, 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 these things happened to me. And therefore, I'm labeling myself victim. Or
yes,
you can say, I'm a human being, a delicate human being who is showing up every day and trying to make those first 20 minutes of my day count. And I encounter things sometimes that are not expected or that are negative or challenging for me to get through, but you're going to call yourself something different than a victim,
absolutely.
because ultimately
Absolutely.
you create that. Like you're speaking to your soul
Oh,
when
yes.
when you get up or we'll talk about social media, like when you get on social media and you surround yourself energetically with negative thoughts and negative people and negative posts, you are speaking that into your soul. You're telling your soul that that's the world that you want to live in. Just like
Right.
when you walk around feeling or placing yourself in this position of being a victim, you're
Mhm.
stating that, you're stating your victimhood, and how much
Exactly.
more powerful is it to state that you're a delicate human going through life, doing your thing,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And also just in the past, I would say like 6 months, I used to have the victim mentality. I'm like completely transparent with my experiences that I used
Mhm.
to have the victim mentality. Like, I had a rough childhood, I lost both my parents, this and that happened to me. And I just felt that it took my power away.
Yeah.
It took it away because I felt that it validated why I should continue on this journey being a miserable person.
Mm. Yeah.
And I just one day thought like, I can't. I have to create the life that I want,
Yeah.
and if that just means peace, if that means being able to offer other people grace in their experience, to be able to better understand humans and our delicate nature, I just one day I just decided I don't want to be a victim anymore. I just want to be part of the solution.
Mhm. I love that. Cheers to you for that.
Mhm.
I want to hear, so a couple of things I wanted to ask you. One is, let's talk a little bit about Cottonseed Creative. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is that about? I know what it's about, but please tell the audience what that's about because it's such like a magnificently beautiful thing.
Thank
So I'd
you.
love to hear more about that.
Thank you. So, about 5 years ago, I had a traumatic incident happen where a doctor didn't deliver my daughter on time, and she developed, because of her hypoxic injury, she developed cerebral palsy. So I wasn't able to go back to my corporate job at Hyundai Motor America. So this was the start of me taking back my power. So I
Mm,
decided that no, I'm not going to lay down and die. I'm
mhm,
going to deal with this situation. I'm going to be the best mother I can to her
mhm,
and also still find something for me to do that brings me happiness and joy. So that's how that came about. I got the opportunity to rent the space. And honestly, it was nothing that was like, someone has a dream to have a coffee shop and they've planned it out for 5 years and they finally execute it. It wasn't a situation like that at all. It just I kind of brought up the idea, and the person that I brought the idea up to own buildings and said, well, I have this space. It was pretty much a rundown spot. Like it was cork board in the window. It was just completely like it had been, foreclosed on for quite a while.
mhm.
So, as I do with a lot of things, I saw the potential in it. And I said to myself, I'm not ready, but will I ever be? And I said, the
Yeah.
worst that can happen out of it is I learn, I grow, and it's been a total growth experience. I've never ran a
Mhm,
business before. I've never had to deal with people on that type of level, not just a coworker job kind of situation. And so the Cottonseed Creative was born out of my love for creativity, for art, for others to be able to express themselves, and also having,
Mhm.
a little small area where they can test that, put their big toe in the water and test it out and test their ideas out, test their products out, and, things that they've made at home, and,
Mhm.
some of their dreams. And so far it's been a really great experience. 5 months after we opened, COVID, we had the riots, and then we had COVID. So
Mhm.
we've been kind of riding the storm out with it, just still holding on and holding on to the fact that we enjoy what we do, and we enjoy offering what we do to the community.
Mhm.
So throughout this experience, like, it's been a huge part of my healing is having
Mhm.
the space. So we have vendors that make all kinds of things, from skincare to candles to jewelry to school teachers that write books. Just a lot of creative people from all different kinds of backgrounds, and we just all come together to basically showcase what we do to the world. And also, we expand a little bit on it by offering things for the community. It's become so much more than a shop for me, and that's part of the reason why I've held on to it,
Mhm.
because I have people that walk in just to talk,
Yeah.
just to have someone to sit there and say, I'm having a bad day, I'm having a good day, just for God to give me that opportunity to help other people heal.
Mhm.
It's been
I
great.
love that. I love that sense of community. I love that you understand that creatives need community,
Yes,
and yes, it's about having a space to do the thing that you do, or a space to showcase what you've done. And it's also having people who are like-minded have the opportunity you- to connect with each other,
absolutely.
especially through some of the things that happen to us in life. Hera
Yes.
Hub is very similar to that. And that's one of the things that I always find so exciting about what you're doing, is that Hera Hub is similar, and it's more about entrepreneurs, creative and otherwise. But ultimately, it really people crave community,
Oh,
and people
yes.
crave support for their dreams. And I think that as much as the world talks about being unique and individual and all of that, once you get into the world of living your dreams, whether they're creative or not, you run into some resistance. And it's really helpful to have a tribe around you that
Yeah,
understands that, and that can have your back when it's not necessarily about the soap or the lotion or the piece of artwork or the next client, but it's more about just the fatigue or the frustration or the fear, or just needing some encouragement. So I love that that's what you're up to.
absolutely. Just coexisting together with, the mind frame of we're all humans on this journey, and we're all just trying to be happy and find things that we love to do, and also get that
Hmm.
support from other people. So
Yeah.
that's been a great experience.
I looked on your website and I saw this quote that I don't know if it's your quote or where it came from, but it resonated with me, and I'm actually going to stick it on post-it. And it is creativity is just intelligence having fun. Is that your quote, or where'd that
I
come from?
actually think that was, I don't want to say, I think it might be Albert Einstein.
Okay.
I think it
I
was Albert.
loved that quote. I don't think I've never heard it before. I don't think, not that I remember.
Mhm.
And when I went onto your website to just kind of check out what was going on, I saw that, and it really resonated with me because it's the truth,
It
you
is.
know. Uh
It is.
yeah.
I think we're all, I I've always had this mind frame of thinking that everyone, like, God made no mistakes. Everyone has some form of intelligence. And I
Hmm.
think with creatives, they're just able to tap in a certain part of their brain, or just
Hmm.
a spiritual part of themselves that maybe others cannot. And it is a
Hmm.
really high form of intelligence, and the way it's expressed You just look around and the artwork and the creations and the innovation, it all, creativity surrounds all of, these things, these
Hmm.
ideas and these beautiful things that we see come about. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about is like, we see this beautiful structure or we see this beautiful piece of art, but we don't think about like, yeah, some people say, oh, that's beautiful, but they don't really think like that is just where that comes from within that
Yeah.
person, where
Yeah.
and how much that means to them,
Hmm.
and that's why with the artists that I work with in the shop, like they all have, different types of art, they have different styles and everything, but I just really see their passions and how much they say it brings them peace and how they have to paint, they have to do these things because it's just part of who they are.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think it's like you have to dig deep. There's like an expansion of who you are that is reflected in the art that you create and
Absolutely.
the art that you do. It's a reflection of the ability to dig deep. And we all
Absolutely.
have that ability in different ways. We all have different gifts and talents and all of that. And whoever the person is and whatever it is that they're creating, that's that they've actually put some thought into, is just the reflection of an expansion of what you have, which is a beautiful thing. It's incredible what we
Absolutely.
can do when we get out of, the rat race of, you know, just going through the steps and doing all the things. But when you take a moment to really own your life and make those, you know, creative and curatorial decisions about your life,
Yes.
it's incredible what you can do with that.
Absolutely. And that's why I've grown such a huge appreciation for the things that people do,
Hmm.
because it comes from, we just, like I said, we just see the physical thing, but where it comes from, it just comes from, their experiences, their childhood, how they feel,
Hmm.
everything. I mean, products are brought to market based on needs and things and other experiences that people have had,
Hmm.
so it's just, an appreciation for it is I've, just grown a deeper appreciation for the things that people do.
Yeah, me too. And I can see that. I can see your generosity in the way that you share and in the way that you show up in the world. Even when it's like a funky day for you, you express it with incredible generosity, which I think
Yeah.
is really appreciated by the folks that, you know, um, that have you on their feed, have that have you as one of their, boxes on their feed. Um, it's part of your brand, you know.
I
So
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
yeah, I appreciate it. I really do. Because trust me, there are some folks I'm like, nope.
Mhm. Oh,
Can't
yeah.
I can't have you in my brain every day. You're just like,
Right.
I can't do it. Uh,
Right.
no judgment, just not for me.
Right.
Um, okay, so I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
All right. Um, so you've gone through a couple of challenging situations that you mentioned briefly. What We all have a different story or different ditches
Mhm.
that we've been in for different
Mhm.
reasons, right? Um, what could you share about how to come through a challenging situation in your life, in a person's life?
Um, I would say, just given my particular situations and traumas that I've been through since I was a child, I just think that I feel that no matter what happens in life, that we still have a responsibility. And that
Hmm.
responsibility is to put out the best that we can, to help other people get through it. So, if you've gone through something traumatic or you've had, childhood trauma, or you've had like, just terrible experiences and losses and things like that, it can take you to a really, really dark place. And you are responsible for pulling yourself out of those dark places. It's, you know, I don't put that responsibility on anyone else but myself, because no
Hmm.
matter what anyone tells me, it's up to me. It's up to me to make the best out of the life that I was given. Because there was
Mhm.
so many things, there are so many things that are outside of our control. So many things that we
Mhm.
wish didn't happen. So many things that we wish we can change, but we can't. So the best way to deal with those things is to, first of all, recognize that they happen.
Mhm.
And then also do your best to heal, and whatever healing is for you. Everyone has to create their own way to heal. For
Mhm.
some people they meditate, for some people they pray, for some people they paint. Whatever it is, you just have to, despite whatever happened that you didn't have control over, you just
Mhm.
have to dig deep within yourself, pull yourself out of those dark places, and just find different ways that you can heal. And you'll know while you're on that healing journey, you'll know what's working and what's not working.
Mhm.
Because throughout the healing process, you'll try different things and they may or may not work, you know, but it's just continuing to work on your healing process. That is what I recommend to anyone that's been through dark times or have been through situations where, it pretty much brought them to their knees, or it just brought them to a place where they thought that they couldn't come out of. But you
Mhm.
can come out of those places. You can't. It,
Mhm.
it can be absolutely hard to, but it's never impossible. You most certainly can. You just have to recognize what the issue is, recognize your feelings. That's the thing, is like sometimes, we have all these, feelings harboring within us, and we don't recognize them. And that's the
Mhm.
first thing. That's the first thing you have to do in order to heal.
Mhm.
Like myself, like my mother died from cancer. My father died from a cocaine induced heart attack when I was 19. And
Sorry for both of those.
I had to, witness both of my parents. I seen both of my parents take their last breaths. So that's, those are traumatic things that you can't change, you can't control, and it's going to always be there.
Mhm.
It's going to always still be there somewhat. But I
Mhm.
think that with traumatic situations, with pain, with loss, with disappointments, is that don't let it be a total loss for you.
Mhm.
Hey, don't let someone's death be in vain. Don't let, a disappointment in there. Let something good grow out of that.
Mhm.
And that's my thought on that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. My mother passed away in 2008, and I went to a friend not long after, and she asked me, um, what what was the thread of my mother's life? Like, what was the thing? And we talked about what that thing was. And her suggestion to me, which was really wise, was take that and move it forward. So if there was something in your mother's life
Yeah.
that held back not only her, but held back a piece of your familial legacy, because I'm all about that, right? Then look at what that is and see what you can do to move that one thing forward. And I found, and in that moment, I was grieving. It was not long after my mother passed away, and I couldn't fully take that in or process it. And over time, though, I began to recognize what that was, where the power was in that, to see, what that thing, what I could do to move that part of our family legacy forward. And I did. And it was really helpful. So when my father passed away, 5 years later, I I had that. I still had that nugget, and it helped. And it helped with my process.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
I agree. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I feel that it's my responsibility to break generational curses and generational things that have happened to my family.
Mhm.
Um, my mission is not only to do certain things that are kind of on my bucket list or on my dream list, but also live my life in a manner where these bad things that happen don't continue. And
Mhm.
and these things that were learned, don't continue.
Mhm.
I just had a discussion recently about that, about, how I was raised and how in the beginning of motherhood, I felt that those negative traits, that my parents, they probably didn't know because, it was something passed down to them that I
Mhm.
just felt I was continuing on that path. And then I
Mhm.
realized, no, that's not right. Just because that's what my grandma did, that's what my dad did, that's what my mom did,
Yeah.
that does not mean it's right. So part of my mission is to, at the end of my life, for me to look up and say, I've created a different pattern for my future
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah. Yeah. Bravo to you for that. Me too. Me too. I think it's really easy we get to a certain point in life where we have these moments in life, these crossroad moments in life
Yeah.
where we know darn well that we can go on autopilot and continue BS, or we're presented with an opportunity to do things a little bit differently. And, you know, bravo to the ways that you've chosen to do things differently.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
and I'm going to acknowledge myself for having done the same in some instances where it's easy to be like, well, I'm going to rage too, because there's a million reasons why you can do certain things. Or you can
Right.
take that stop, like you said, that moment to say, mm-mm, I know that I can do this because I know how to do this. For me, it was I knew how to be angry, right? Um, but then I started to recognize that buying into that is really an investment into it's a bad investment,
Oh, yes.
right? It's a
Yes.
bad investment that's going to keep rolling and rolling, and it can only take away. It's not going to add. And so, for certain areas in my life, and I have a lot to be grateful for in terms of my family and the things I got from my parents and from my family and from my ancestors. I got some great stuff. Um, and I also know that there are some things that I'm responsible for changing. Um, and so I'm actively trying to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
understand. It's just, and I think, honestly, with COVID happening, it was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time because
Everyone I talk to says that. Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of growth that
Me
happened.
too.
A lot of growth. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
really allowed us to really sit down and think and analyze and really see which way we want our life to go and which way we want our story to be told. You
Hmm.
know, my big thing is the way certain things happen in my family. Like I didn't want that to be my narrative. I don't want that to be my
Hmm.
narrative anymore. I just, like
Hmm.
you said, I was an angry person. Like I was quick to just get angry or handle certain situations the wrong way. But now, I'm choosing to just change everything, just change my path,
Good for
just
you.
go on a whole new path.
Good for you. So,
Thank you.
Yvonne, how can we all help you? How can we support you?
Um, you know, honestly, I'm trying to think on it's kind of a difficult question, but I would just
I
say,
don't
I
even know
mean,
where the question came from, but that's
you're supporting me now. Like this is awesome. Like I've never been on a podcast before, let alone your podcast. So this is really a blessing. So I feel very supported in this moment.
I feel blessed too. And how can we support your business? How can we support you, even if it's just what can we do? Like, what do you need right now?
I would just say visit our website on www.thecottonseedex.com and then follow us on social media. I do have plans on doing some other things. I'm trying to grow in what I'm doing. Starting a retail store was just kind of like something on my bucket list, something that helped me grow, something that filled my cup.
Hmm.
And I'm just looking to do other things now. I'm looking to just try to, achieve all the things that I've been trying to do, but also um, keep people at the forefront of everything. That's
Hmm.
that's kind of what I want. I want my focus to be because I see a lot of like I know people that have done successful things, but they've lost touch with
Hmm.
humanity. And I think
Hmm.
it's easy to happen. And I've put myself in their shoes and I say, well, I see how that can happen, but I just want
Mhm.
to make sure that no matter where I go on this journey is that I keep people first.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for the way that you're showing up in this world. I really appreciate it. Thank
I
you
appreciate you
for
as well.
thank you for showing up here with me and having this conversation with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I hope
Absolutely.
you'll
I
come back.
definitely, if I'm
Yeah.
invited, I'll be here.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Just gonna stop that. Hold on. I don't want this to be a cloud recording. Shit. I'm sorry. Bear with me one sec.
Sure.
Um,